Now in unit number 1, our next topic is classification of embedded systems. Now within classification there are two broad categories. First category is with reference to the functional requirements, and second is with reference to the microcontroller. So with reference to the functional requirements, there are four different types, and with reference to the based on microcontroller, there are three different types. As per functional requirements are concerned, the very first is real-time embedded system. Second one is standalone embedded system, and third one is network enabled system. Fourth one is mobile embedded system. So we will see these four first, and then we will move on to the next category. So in real time embedded system, we can say that when we are expecting strict deadlines from our system, that the response time of the system should be very less, means our system should be very fast, or we can say that it must perform in real time. When we are expecting such very small latency time or very fast response time, in those cases we can say that our embedded system is a real time embedded system. So the thing is that it must follow strict timing constraints, and we can say that it is a hard real time system, because hard real time means we cannot expect failures from that system. That system should be very reliable. We can also categorize the real time system in hard real time system and soft real time systems. In hard real time systems, the response time is very less, but in soft real time systems the response time may be compromised, you can say. Now here hard real time system is airbag system within the four wheelers, medical equipments and industrial automation. These are the few examples of real time system. It is having the real time operating system. It has real time operating system should be very less footprinting. It should have very less footprinting, so that the interrupt mechanisms within that operating system should be managed in such a way that they can respond to the interrupts in very fast way. So this is all about the real time embedded system. As per standalone embedded system is concerned, the name itself gives us information that it is a standalone. Standalone means it is a alone system, which is autonomous system, and that system cannot be connected to some other system, to some other node, to some other network, to some other computing device, but it is a standalone in the nature, and that system works its own. It is not going to connect to other systems through any external computers, through any RS-232 or RS-485 or serial programmable interfaces or controller area networks or IEEE 1394, or it cannot be connected through the internet using the TCP IP stack. So the system which don't have any network capabilities, it is treated as an standalone system. So you can say that if dedicated digital camera is there, microwave oven is there, so their functionality makes their all the jobs not compatible, not been relied on other systems. They are autonomous in the nature. Microwave oven don't need any communication with the other systems. That's why it is a standalone system. It can work its functions as its own. Also, it has minimal hardware and the software resources. As there is no need of any transmission control protocol, internet protocol stack into such kind of the system, there is no need of any huge software requirements. So this is about our standalone system. Next is network enabled system. Now here it is different than the standalone system. This kind of the embedded system has a feature of TCP IP stack, so that they can transfer their data over the internet through transmission control protocol or internet protocol. Also, these kind of the systems have controller area network or inter-integrated circuits. Those can transmit the processed data to the remote peripheral devices, remote masters of the buses or remote slaves of the buses. So when our system is connected to the similar kind of the system or other kind of the system to form one heterogeneous network, and it becomes the node of that network, then we can say that it is a network enabled system. So here you can see that our system can be connected through wire using the Ethernet, using the controller area network, or our system can be connected through wireless using the wireless fidelity or Zigbee kind of the protocols. Also, it can be compatible with the Internet of the Things. Those can be utilized specifically for the smart homes and for distributed control systems. Obviously, as their scope or functionality is huge, they can more scalable as compared to the standalone systems, because they remotely monitor and they can remotely control. As per last type is concerned, it is a mobile embedded system. Mobile embedded, the name itself suggests that mobile means we can shift the system from one location to the other location. But when we can shift it? Only when that system is a portable in the nature, that we can pick that system through our hands and we can place it to some other place. So when such kind of the system is there, it doesn't change its patterns, it doesn't change its functionalities, it doesn't change its algorithms, it doesn't change in any parameter. We only change its location. If this is the case, then we can say that it is a mobile system, that you can pick the system, you can place it at some other place and it can start functioning on that place. So our mobile handheld devices are there. Those can be comes under the mobile embedded system. Tablets are there, hand watches are there, fitness trackers are there. So these kind of the systems comes under the mobile embedded system. The main thing in this mobile system is that they operate on the batteries. This is the main thing. And as they operate on the batteries, obviously their fundamental requirement should be they must be low power consumption system. So this is about the mobile embedded system. Now, as we have seen that there are two major categories. One is based on the functional, which we already seen, and based on microcontroller. In based on microcontroller, small scale is there, medium scale is there, and sophisticated is there. These are the only three types. Now, within based on the microcontroller, very first is small scale. In small scale, hardly one microcontroller embedded into the system. That microcontroller or microprocessor specifically has 8-bit in the architecture or 16-bit in the architecture. The 8-bit in the architecture means it is having 8-bit of the arithmetical and logical unit, or it is having 8-bit of the internal registers, or it is having 8-bit of the data buses. Also, in small scale, it is designed for the applications specifically for limited functionality. So that embedded system don't have huge kind of the functionalities. It operates on hardly one or two tasks, hardly. That's why these kind of the systems are simple for design, simple in design. As per software is concerned, preferable language is C language or assembly language. So rather we are working on the assembly language like 8051's assembly language or 8086 assembly language, using the turbo C, or rather using the assembly compiler, assembly assemblers. So as per small scale embedded system is concerned, their cost is less, they have less in the size, their power consumption is also minimal, and examples are washing machine controller, digital watches, or simple calculators comes under the small scale embedded system. As per medium scale embedded systems are concerned, instead of using 8-bit microcontroller, they use 16-bit or 32-bit microcontrollers or microprocessors, and they designed or they developed to perform some complex task like floating point unit, digital signal processing, image processing kind of the systems comes under the medium scale. Their programming is not going to be done in the assembly language. Their programming is not going to be done in assembly language, but they prefer C or C++ kind of the compilers. Those operates specifically for real-time operating systems. Now, one thing should be mentioned here, that as per small scale is concerned, they don't have any network support. They don't have any network support, but here they may have network support, so they can support networking as well as they can support communication interfaces like RS-232 parallel interfaces or IEEE 1394 kind of the system buses. Example is in ATM machines or printers, and industrial controllers comes under the medium scale embedded system. As per sophisticated embedded systems are concerned, a powerful 32-bit or 64-bit processor is going to be used. Now, which are those processors? Processor is advanced reduced instruction set microprocessor, advanced reduced instruction set computers microprocessor, specifically Cortex A. So Cortex is the version of the ARM processor, which is the advanced processor used in mobiles. DSP, digital signal processors. Those are capable of running large and the complex applications and operating systems like Android and Linux. They incorporate networking. They also support multimedia, means they can process MP3, MP4 or video files as well. Advanced security features are there, means encryption, decryption standards are advanced. Then they involve hardware and software co-design, means simultaneously hardware and software can be designed. This is the meaning through the development teams. Example is smartphones, advanced medical equipments, and automotive, specifically for the vehicular networks. So this is about sophisticated embedded system. So 1.3 comprised of these two fundamental categories, functional with reference to the functional, with reference to the microcontroller. First one is having 4 different types, second one is having 3 different types. So this is very simple topic. Now last topic is concerned, the advantages of embedded system is that it is a less complicated system as compared to the analog circuits specifically. It is efficient in the nature as compared to the analog circuits. It is having less cost. Instead of putting our efforts in the bulky systems, we prefer VLSI technology, CPLD technology, FPGA technology, so that their cost can be minimal. Accessibility means fault finding is easy actually, when they are having less maintenance, they have less redundancy in the programming. Those should be very reliable, size is already covered over here, less power consumption, and it improves the quality of the products. As per disadvantages concerned, it is having some service issues, maintainability issues, sometime redundancy if not redundant, if programming not possible. Redundancy is there when programming in some languages is not possible actually. It is applicable for specific purposes only. There are some hardware issues related to the scalability sometime, and difficult to change the features for small scale embedded systems. So this is about the disadvantages. As per applications are concerned, all these are the consumer applications. Here you can see the geyser, washing machine, then oven. These are all our fridge, fan, cooler. So all these equipments treated as an consumer electronics actually, or home appliances. These comes under the also consumable electronics, that is office machine for printing something, and this is missile launcher kind of the system is there in the defense. So these are some of the applications of this is rocket launcher in defense category. Its applications are also in a medical field, like to encephalogram to find out ECG and EEG, to take the X-ray or to verify the blood pressure levels. Then it is also inclusive in the radiation and the endoscopy kind of the medical applications. It is also having its role in the telecommunications for developing embedded systems for wireless fidelity or routers or firewalls hardware, integrated services, digital networks, terminal adapters in the users end, web cameras, multiplexers and internet protocol phones. This is the assignment number 1 as per unit number 1 is concerned. The scope of the unit number 1 is very less. That's why there are very limited questions is going to be asked by the MSBT, and if you prepare only these 10 questions, hardly it takes 2 to 3 hours to get learn. So you can prepare thoroughly this particular unit. I am going to put the link of this presentation and PDF of my notes in the description box. You can visit my blog and you can download this presentation, as well as you can find some links to the good books of embedded system. So as per unit number 1 is concerned, this is the only scope of the unit.